Here now is Steve Forbes, Forbes Media chairman. Great to see you, Steve. And you once ran for president, so you know what the battleground is like when you go out there. I'm just curious, with this environment that we face now, would you have run for president if you were facing this kind of environment?
The answer would be if I thought I could make a real difference, positive difference, like getting the flat tax. The answer is yes. I got a lot of criticism when I ran in 1996. A survey found I got more negative press than anyone else. But if you believe in something, you go out and fight. And you have to stick to the issues, not to personalities. Yeah. Stick to principles. And I think that helps the climate. Unfortunately, we have the president of the United States setting a dreadful example. And we see what that can lead to.
You know, I'm really surprised that there's so many good candidates out there with an environment like this. It says a lot about people's willingness to sacrifice. I know a lot of politicians get in it for the money and the power. We've seen them stay on much too long, but there's some real go-getters out there. In fact, we're going to have one in the next segment that I'm excited about. But, you know, politics, I think it was a Democrat, great Democrat politician who said politics ain't beanbag, but it's not supposed to be life-threatening. And unfortunately, that's what it's become.
Yeah, it's become a chainsaw. And I think one reason why I think you're going to see a big change on Tuesday, people are tired of these bad examples being set. They want to get to real problems, solving real problems. And what makes it worse is the fact this administration keeps saying, oh, inflation is not a real problem. The economy's doing splendidly. When people, every time they go out, they can see that's false. When they have to take a second or third job to make up for what they're losing in their pay packets. So I think people want a calm environment, but they also want positive action, not this name calling. And unfortunately, it almost seems like, David, what the Democrats say about the Republicans is true of themselves. Right, they're talking about themselves.
Right. There's a psychological term, projection. There's a lot of projection going around. Let's talk about the economy. The president won't do it. He'd rather demonize his opponents. But we had a fairly good jobs number come out today. I'm just wondering if you think that the president has any bragging rights there.
Actually, no. There are two surveys in that jobs report. One is called the Household Survey, and the other is called the Establishment Survey. Yeah. The Establishment Survey takes existing companies, and that's where you got that 261,000 job number. However, if you look at the Household Survey, where they talk to people, and the Household Survey, even though it fluctuates a lot each month, it gives a better gauge of what small businesses are doing. And that jobs report was down 328,000. That survey also found that the number of unemployed went up 366,000, and that the labor participation rate went down. And this jibes with what the third quarter GDP, which they said, oh, so great, 2.6%. But if you look at the real number in that GDP, final sales, because, you know, GDP includes trade and government spending and inventories. Mm-hmm. When you look at final sales, that it was flat, and it's been going down steadily during the course of the year. So you look at those kinds of real indicators, and we got some rough times ahead.
Well, Labor Secretary Marty Walsh was out doing his job. I mean, give him credit. He's trying to put the best spin on it possible. Let me just play a clip of him and then get your reaction. Roll tape.
Somewhere in the future, there might be a recession. I think right now what we're focused on is bringing down inflationary pressures and making sure we continue to move our economy forward. Our stock market is still strong. Our job hiring is still strong. There's still many openings in this country. There's still lots of positive signs.
There is that labor overhang. And of course, a lot of that comes from the fact that we're paying so many people still to stay at home by expanding Medicaid benefits to things that don't have anything to do with health care, et cetera. But what about what Marty Walsh was saying?
Well, the economic theologians will call it a recession next year, and they won't be able to escape that. But the jobs thing is a lagging indicator in the sense that businesses have had such a hard time trying to find workers. They were very slow to respond when the environment changes. But the environment, sadly, is changing. And you can see it in indications. The money supply number is now contracting. You see it in terms of availability of credit. That's starting to contract. So you see all the signs that are pointing to tough times ahead, like that final sales number. So he can say, oh, well, the economy's great. That's, as you say, that's his job. But the economy isn't great. The Federal Reserve believes that the way you conquer inflation is by depressing the economy. So they're engineering a recession. because that's the only way they know how to fight inflation. And you see Europe going in recession, Japan's going in recession, all around the world. Hard winter is coming.
And of course, the best way to fight inflation is to increase the supply of goods by incentivizing the private sector. That's the best way. You don't need a recession to kill inflation.
And you and I are old enough to remember the early 1980s when, after a recession, where the key thing was what the head of the Federal Reserve, Paul Volcker, did after that recession. He relatively stabilized the value of the dollar, which they never did during the 1970s. So stable dollar and those tax cuts and deregulation, by golly, the economy took off, and 50 other countries followed our example on substantially reducing tax rates. So that's what we should do here. And the good thing, David, is because of elections, I think we're going to see what we saw in the late 70s. This election will be the beginning of what we saw in the late 70s, and that is bringing policies in place that are going to bring about a positive change in the next couple of years.
Of course, we do have 2 years of Biden presidency, and as you have mentioned before, the president can do a lot through executive orders, through regulations alone that could move us closer to this socialized economy that a lot of his supporters and a lot of the people who are really pulling the strings in the White House want.
Well, and that's where the Republican Congress is going to play a key role. For example, defunding the IRS provision of hiring 80,000 new agents to harass middle class and small businesses. You're going to see it in terms of the regulatory agencies are going to be called to the carpet. Congress has to learn how to exercise power again. They've ceded a lot of power to these so-called independent agencies, and I think that's going to be reversed, and the Republicans are going to not only block bad things, but start to reverse them. And imagine Joe Biden vetoing a bill that would increase oil and gas production in America instead of taking it for Venezuela and OPEC. The Republicans are going to pass something like that. If Joe Biden wants to veto it, you know what's going to happen politically.
I don't think he wants his fingerprints all over something like that. So that's going to be a very interesting moment. Steve Forbes, good to see you, my friend. Thank you very much. Have a great weekend.
Good to see you, David. Thank you.
Well,